Hello.
Welcome, guys. So let's go ladies first, and let's talk about Joanna's book, which is A Guide to Being Human. So for us who've not seen Being Human, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's a supernatural series about a ghost, a werewolf and a vampire sharing a house, which sounds like the start of a very bad joke. But the premise is really, the start of the series one was that they just wanted to be human, fit in, escape from all the supernatural baggage, and just try and live normal lives. Of course they don't, otherwise we wouldn't be almost up to series 5.
So when you've writing a guide to such a TV series, does it mean you have to sit there for hours and hours watching the DVDs over and over again, trying to get every little
she's
reference?
obsessive.
I'm completely obsessive, which does help.
So this is an obsessive book then?
I think it has to be, really, because Being Human, it's still a relatively small show, it's quite a cult show, but the Being Human fandom, those that get involved, they're noisy, they're obsessive, so if I'm not slightly more obsessive, they're going to catch me out.
And how has the book been received so far, do you think? Have you had good reviews?
Yes, and the feedback from the people who do know the show inside out has been very good, so it's been very pleased.
You haven't had one person come up and said, "Oh, excuse me, you got that wrong on page 187.
Let's just say there's a few points of opinion that people might disagree with me, but that's a good thing.
Yes.
This part of it's my opinion, what I think of things, and there's the classic 5 questions of fandom that come up everywhere, and there are some perennial arguments that we go round and round and enjoy on a fairly regular basis.
So, and I hear a rumour that apparently you are making an appearance in an upcoming episode. Is this correct? Is this true?
Yeah, but if you blink, you'll miss me, I promise.
Is it you walking with the book like that?
I tried that, strangely.
Confiscated.
So Being Human fans, because there's a very good online blog that BBC run, a lot of people have made contacts and friendships online, and people get together, and there was a group of us went to Cardiff, scout out locations, have a look around, and they're filming series 5 at the moment, and we were very lucky to be asked to be in an establishing shot just as background artists. So you might see me, artists, darling. Artists. You may see me trying very hard not to fall down a set of stairs at some point, but I don't even know if this shot's going to survive.
So in your next volume to come out, you'll write about there'll be a whole chapter, my time on the show.
Of course, my starring role that possibly exists only in my mind.
So being obviously a fan about the show and then writing about it, does it mean, is it taking fandom to another level, really, when you're writing about it and then having the book published? Do you have any sort of jealous fellow fans?
I don't think so. It's actually the people I've met. It's a very friendly group. It's not big enough to have started to kind of split into
different
wars,
factions,
shall we say?
Yeah.
So the reaction I've had has been very positive. So it's I've not been involved in a fandom before Being Human, so it's a whole new experience for me. It's been great.
And from what I know of the series, you've had some really well-established, well-known actors in it. Have you got to meet any of the stars of the show? And
I've met a few, but not while I was writing the book. I very much wanted it to be a sort of a fan's perspective, so that it's not all inside of bits and pieces. I'd love to do that, but I wanted it to be, I'm a fan of the show, this is it, this is how I see it. But I have met some people, and they've all been incredibly complimentary about the writing and the opportunities that it's given to some of the actors as well.
Fantastic. And finally, have you actually sent a copy of this in to the production team or the writers?
They know about it. I haven't actually sent it to them. I haven't quite got the nerve, if I'm honest.
All right, that's such a shame because
You should, shouldn't she?
It'll happen.
You should. Yeah.
It'll happen one day. I'm working up to it.
I think you should be really proud of writing something that's, it's obviously a labour of love, and you've enjoyed writing it, and I look forward to reading it, and I hope you guys do too, and many other people do as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'll come back to you and we'll talk about that a bit more. So the next book is, and I'm sure we all remember this, Remembering Tenko. Those were the days. Eh? I don't remember it, I wasn't born. But there we go. I've obviously watched it and know of it. So what made you decide to write such a chunky, hefty book?
Well, I don't think it was ever going to be that big to begin with. I really wanted to meet all the cast, to be honest. Which I wanted not a reason to meet them all, and yeah, sit in their kitchens, drink coffee with them, and actually find out what made them tick.
So you just wanted an ultra fanboy moment and
really,
write about it.
yeah, to be honest, perfectly
and then
honest.
go to everyone. Nah, 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 nah.
I've been in Stephanie Beacham's kitchen, that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah. There's Twitter for that kind of thing, you know.
There is, yeah. But yeah, it was partly that. It was also because I love it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being honest about it. I do absolutely love it, adore it, and yeah, I knew I would write a book about it one day, but I had to convince Lavinia Warner, the creator, that this was actually something that would be a good idea and that I wasn't insane. I wasn't a stalker.
And you managed to convince her.
I managed to convince her of both these things. But it took me about 2 or 3 years to convince her.
That long.
Yeah. So I was pretty determined.
And in those
to do
2 to 3 years, when you try not to convince you were a stalker,
it.
being outside a house
outside the
every day.
house, yeah, going through her bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not really.
So, what is it about Tenko that you see on these I Remember shows
Yeah.
and things like that? Tenko has such a place in people's memories, hearts, and affections. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just damn good drama. It's character led.
Mm-hmm.
It's intimate, and it plays out over such a long period of time of these people's lives that you get to know them so well, and that's where it kind of goes into soap territory a bit. Why soaps are so popular, because you want to find out what happens next to these people, and Tenko has that ongoing, gripping feel, and also the added factor that anyone could die at any minute makes it really enjoyable.
So, out of meeting all the cast members, who was your favourite and why?
Well, my favourite, and yeah, this was perhaps my best afternoon I will ever have. My wife's upstairs, so that's okay. Was sitting with Anne Bell, who played Marion Jefferson, in her dining room, and just talking to her for 3.5 hours about the series. Just was very special, and she was so open. And out of all of them, she's the one I wanted to really get to know and find out what she thought. And she was professional, fantastic, and gave me a massively long interview. I mean, that's why it's so big. Not just Anne Bell's interview, but every interview is so long.
And whilst writing the book, did you discover anything that you were surprised or shocked by?
Yeah, quite a few things, and some of them aren't going in. Or didn't go in.
Tell us what they are.
No, I can't.
Yeah, you can.
No, I can't. I really can't. No.
Well, tell us what tell us one of the shocking things that are in the book then, or something that surprised you.
Oh, one really nice little story is that one of the real women who survived the camps, went all the way through the camps, and who Lavinia Warner, the creator, got to know and was part of the inspiration for the series in the first place, one of the actresses discovered that her cousin was on the same raft as this character, Margot Turner, Dame Margot Turner, and slipped away and died during the experience. But she actually found out she was, went through the,
Wow.
went through the experience with this person, living on a raft for 8 days, and in the ocean. And Margot Turner was the only one who survived that experience, and there was about 15 people on the raft to begin with. So it was a real true story, and then one of the actresses found out that they were connected to the story, which was...
How amazing.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write this?
2.5, 3 years. I got to a point halfway through, which, I'll always remember exactly how the scene. Got to Lavinia Warner's house. By this time I was allowed past the threshold, and she wasn't frisking me for memorabilia. And I sat down in a different room, got there, stuff all over the floor, paper, bags of paper, documents, everything, everywhere, photographs. And, I've finally gone in my loft, Andy. I've finally got into the loft. This is all Tenko stuff. What, all of this? I've half written the book, So effectively at that point I had to start again, because I was writing the production of the series, of, how it was made. And to find all these documents, I literally had to go back to the start and rewrite. So part of me wanted to kill her, part of me wanted to kiss her. So it was kind of that really weird sort of moment. It was like, ugh.
And obviously you've interviewed, you say you've interviewed Anne Bell, Stephanie Cole, Louise Jameson, Stephanie Beacham, Veronica Roberts, Claire Oberman and Bert Kwok.
Yeah, and many more.
What were their thoughts when you approached them to do the book? Did they think, oh my God, you're crazy? And
They were a bit confused that there was going to be a book now. They were like, why now? Well, it's like, well, I've only just managed to persuade Lavinia that do the book. But they were thrilled to talk about it and to go back. No one has any bad memories of it. So the stuff haven't put in isn't really about big, shocking things. But they all love doing it. It was all a really important part of their lives, and still is in a sense. For some of them, it's the biggest role they had.
And am I right in saying this, that after the series, it did come back for a special or something?
Yeah, there was a special a year later, which was called Reunion, where they all went back to Singapore after the war, and and still found that they were having issues because of having experienced their lives in the camps.
Do you think that there's still a story to be told of these women?
I'd be terrified about a revised Tenko, because it would probably be 6 episodes and include all names. Some of the names from Tenko we know now. Mm-hmm. Louise Jameson, and she was probably one of the biggest stars at the time, but no one knew Stephanie Cole then. Mm. Stephanie Beacham was kind of up there, but not really as much as now. Mm-hmm. But I think they'd cast it now with stars, and therefore you'd think, oh, that's her from Casualty, or that's her from...
No, what I meant by...
Oh, you don't mean that.
The surviving cast members, to have them back.
Oh, no.
You think there's
no
more story to be told with these characters?
Some of them inevitably think it might be a good idea, but I think it's a very bad idea.
So, we won't have a new, they've just done with Dallas sort of thing with Tenko, and continue the story. And
although, having said that, some of them are still very glamorous. I mean, Claire Overman doesn't look any different to how she did in the series. In fact, on some days she looks better, because obviously she was in a prison camp in the series. But some of them, you think, wow, Cindy Shelley, another one who looks amazing still. But yeah.
And obviously, this has been a labour of love to write. So what is it about Tenko that you loved so much that made you think, I'm going to spend 3 years and write a book?
I think it's what I've already said. It's about it being an intimate drama where you get to know the characters so well that you feel like if you met them that you'd talk to them as if you knew about their lives. And I think a lot of the actors did actually invest so much in their characters that it was a lot of themselves. So when I did meet them, I was thinking, yeah, there's an awful lot of Kate I can see here. There's an awful lot of Marion, or whoever.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like that you've really done a really big job on that book. And I've watched Tenko years and years ago.
Watch it again.
I won't watch it again. I'm going to read the book.
Okay.
There we go. And finally, we have, who is Michael E. Bryant?
Who is he?
Well, tell me, who is he?
Well, everyone knows, don't they?
I don't know.
Director of many famous Doctor Who stories, and also Blake Seven. So yeah, way. So
there's always one.
So he did a lot of the first series. There's two. Didn't he? It was the very first episode, wasn't it? The Way Back he directed, and also lots of others of the first series.
It's all in the book.
It is all in there.
In the book.
But Doctor Who, Sea Devils, Robots of Death, Revenge of the Cybermen, Death of the Daleks, Colony in Space.
Don't talk about that.
We don't talk about Colony in Space. No. Okay.
So what did you guys do on this book with him? What was your involvement?
Well, again, there was a lot of persuasion and convincing. This time it was different. It was about that he could write, because he left school early to go off and do his directing, and he did a few other jobs before he started directing. So really he was like, I've never written, I can't write. And the first drafts that came through, which were to do with him working on Power of the Daleks and talking about what costume Patrick Troughton was going to wear, I was like, oh my god. Actually, it wasn't like that, because it was on a computer screen. But the first chapters that came through, I was like, wow, this is gold dust. And it was written so accessibly as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I got back in touch and said, you can write, this is brilliant, please keep sending me chapters.
And has he been happy with the final book? Has he?
Very happy, yes. And slightly surprised, even though he did as much as he did, that people are interested. So
does he fully appreciate his success on Doctor Who? Because he has, he directed some of the most classic and iconic stories. Does he actually believe in his work, or is he a little bit?
He
sort of-
does, but he's quite technical. He's not at all show busy. So the stories he was telling us would be about how he created a particular shot, or how he wanted to make Robots of Death look a certain way, rather than, oh yeah, and someone slagged someone off. Actually, there is a really good slagging off story about Robots of Death in there, where he has a fight with Tom Baker. But
on page number.
but yeah, he's not show busy, so he's kind of like, he's not like, I'm the great, I am. He's just really lovely, down to earth bloke, just kind of person who's good to go for a beer with, and we have several times.
That's just showing off now.
It is really.
Do we have any questions at all? Well, I think on that note we'll end it there if there are no questions.
No, there's a
Oh,
question.
yes.
I have a question. Yeah. Did you interview any of the Japanese actors that played the guards? And what did they feel about the way they were portrayed?
The quick answer is no, I'm afraid,
Oh.
because Eiji Kusuhara just died last year, which was a real shame. Before I got a chance, he played Sato, and the guy who played Kasaki's in Japan, and the guy who played Shinya isn't alive anymore. So, yeah, I'm afraid not. It would have been nice to get their angle. The only one on the Japanese side I interviewed was Josephine Lloyd Welcome, who played Miss Hassan, and she was completely lovely, completely not scary. But I was quite terrified about meeting her to begin with, because she was like, you know, there will be harmony in this camp. And, she's actually completely lovely, and yeah. But her angle on it was, there was a slight divide, because there was the Japanese and then there was the prisoners, and inevitably there was going to be some acting around that, and I think they kind of distanced themselves a bit so that they wouldn't get to know the prisoners as well, the actors who were playing the prisoners. So.
Did you talk to Renee Asherson? She's about 100 now, isn't she?
At least. No, I didn't actually talk to her. No. Yeah.
Did you
But-
get some good stories about the older cast members that have now passed away?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories about Gene Anderson. But all of the stories about Gene Anderson, you kind of think, oh, is this true? Michael Owen Morris, who directed a lot of Who, and well, one Who actually, wasn't it? The Awakening. He's now directing EastEnders. He had a lot of stories about Gene Anderson particularly, which are in the book. Well done. And I should just add, we have gone to town on this. My wife really didn't want me to do this, but we've got colour plates. So, you know, we have really gone to town. We've got so many photos from the cast's photo albums that we want to reproduce these in colour, so it's very nice. Sorry.
No problem. So everybody go and get your copies upstairs. And on that note, I'd like to thank our guests. Thank you very much.